Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition of Transformers Reviews. Well, today, guys, we're taking a look at a figure that, yeah, I know she's been out, but, you know, if Thew Adams can take a figure that's been out for months and do a review, then you know what? So can I. Now, Lancer, okay, first thing out of the gate, let's address what everybody says, is that she is basically just a remold of her sisters. Well, you know what? You're mostly right. But the funny thing is, some of the stuff that was what I consider an improvement on ones like Nova Star, or we're just going to call her Firestar, okay? One of the improvements that her and her other sisters had, she actually surprisingly has had removed, and I'm like, why? Let's take a look here at the back of her car. Basically, you can see that obviously with her hands folded up, that gets them clear of being, you know, risking drag on the ground or anything like that. Well, when you look at Lancer, hers are new molds for her forearms. And yeah, it puts them pretty close. And I think in a couple instances they have dragged. And the thing is they are actually molded as part of this orange plastic. So if they were drug enough, you would essentially be, you know, scraping the purple paint off of her hands, which I'm like, oh my goodness, why? Now, the funny thing is like her sisters, she came with these pegs down here, and on each and every one of these molds, I've actually had to shave those down because they stuck out below the wheels, and so like the back wheels were slightly propped up, and I was like, you know, this mold has had issues ever since, you know, Moonracer came out. But she's always kind of had more, I felt, in common with a bullet train than she has with like an Earth mode car. So, and also with this, you can see how she scales in comparison to Prowl here. Well, on her, there's lots of little silver accents everywhere, and I think that kind of puts it above Firestar. If you notice, there's actually a shimmery look to this purple part. In addition to these being new, if you also notice, on her sister, she had these little ports where they could plug in the weapons, like over here. Well, you can't do that with her, and it forces you to use the prime component. So, I mean, yeah, it's you know, I don't think the cool color scheme makes up for it. But let's see how her robot mode actually fares. Now, the one thing that you may notice is if, obviously the head sculpts are different, but if you look at from the neck down to the top of their boobs, that's actually the same piece, you know, because why would they change that? But the odd thing is if you look from the top of their boobs down to their waist, obviously she's got what looks like she works out a little bit more than her blocky bod sister over here, so that's at least different. However, when you look from the waist down, the molding is, you know, virtually identical and everything. And also, in addition to the gun, it's just, as you can plainly see, just a recolor with like a tad bit of silver in here because, you know, exclusive. So other than that, you know, her face, I like how they at least made the head molds different for each one of the girls. That's good. I'm okay with that. So despite basically being just a Power of the Primes mold, you know what, like here in this scene with Shockwave, it doesn't look out of place. But overall, it's not the greatest robot mode, but if you have any of the other girls, you essentially know what you're getting right here. So, how does this girl actually look if she were a combiner? Now, one thing that you will probably notice is, you know, the arms. It always comes back to those for some reason. These ones you can put, you know, like Moonracer and Firestar into this configuration. But on Lancer, you can see that because her arms are different, you have to fold them down into a different look. But what about as an arm? So here's our girl as an arm, you know, and she's an orange combiner limb, so of course I'm gonna like it. But as you guys can see, obviously I just plugged in a random matrice here, and like any other, you know, Power of the Prime hand it's based off of, it has that weird little backwards thumb thing down here. So with that being said, guys, that'll finish up our look at our new Seige version of Lancer, and until next time, guys, we will see you in another review.